Hi, you're on the Alice Reddit Stories channel. Subscribe to my channel as well as to my Facebook, the link is in the description. Enjoy watching. Hi, this is my first time posting on Reddit, and just wanted some advice as I have been going back and forth with this. I know this is a really long post, but I'd appreciate it so much if y'all would give your advice, thank you. My ex and I met at a student org at university. She was a senior and I was a sophomore at the time. We started talking, got close, and I eventually asked her to be my GF early in the summer after she graduated. Her post-grad plans were to do a master's at a different university, and my plans were to continue at the university where we met. We both were sad about not being together at the same university anymore the upcoming fall, but we decided to take advantage of the summer together. We got even closer during the summer, and we basically started living together in her parents' house. Thankfully, her parents were really cool about me staying and had no problem with it. Once school started up again, we were both sad again, and we talked about long distance and how we intend to FaceTime each other and keep in close contact. During fall quarter, we FaceTimed and made time for each other. However, she was a lot busier than me because of grad school while I'm still an undergrad, and she was dealing with a lot of stress like how she would pay for her tuition, looking for a job after adulting, and overall maintaining good grades with the rigorous material she was learning. She would always tell me how worried she felt about grad school, passing her classes, and how she was scared of growing up, finding a job and working for the rest of her life. I always tried comforting her and telling her it'll be okay and that she should look at it step by step rather than from a holistic view. I would also surprise her by driving back to her place, 2HR drive, and spending time with her during the weekends. Rarely, we would argue about small and dumb things, and I'm the type of person who hates conflict and just shuts off and gets emotional. For context, I was in an unhealthy relationship before her, so I would lack communication sometimes, and she knew about this. When we would argue, she sometimes would mention our age gap, 3 years, and say that she feels like it's noticeable based on how I would shut off and not talk and how she wanted to talk it out. Ultimately, though, we made it through fall quarter happy, loving each other, and doing well in our courses. Our parents met for Thanksgiving, and we got closer to each other since I went back to living with her at her parents' house for winter break. Once winter quarter started, January 2022, our schools announced that the first 5 weeks would be virtual due to COVID peaking again. I ended up staying at her house, and we basically were spending every day together from winter break till the first 5 weeks of winter quarter. Looking back at it, we definitely should have given each other space every now and then, and my parents would tell me, but I wouldn't listen and just really enjoyed being with her. She made me feel very comfortable, safe, and overall happy. I'm assuming she felt the same way, as whenever I would be back home with family, she would ask if I wanted to sleep over by the end of the night, and I would always say yes. Overall, we made it through winter quarter also very happy and very close to each other. Again, for winter quarter, she would stress about academics and how she was worried about growing up, and I tried my best to comfort her whenever that would happen. At the same time, I would also sometimes shut down whenever we would argue about small things, and she would get emotional as well, but we got better at communicating our feelings. By the time spring quarter came, all my classes were virtual, but not hers, and I decided that I wasn't going back to my university and just staying home. Our homes are about 30 minutes apart, and so again I stayed at her house. Whenever she would have an in-person class, she would leave and I would either go with her to her school or leave back home. Regardless, by the end of the night, I would drive back home to her house and spend the night. Once her mom noticed I would drive every day from my house back to her house, she suggested me to just stay at their house while she would be in school. So don't forget to support my channel by subscribing, thank you. So I wouldn't have to waste gas. I did that, so whenever my ex would have class in person, I would just be in her room for the day waiting for her. Looking back, we both should have set boundaries and spent time on our own and together, instead of always together. Throughout spring quarter, again, she would mention how stressed she was and worried about her not doing well in her classes. One week in particular, closer to finals, May 2022, I went back to my university to work on a project with my team, and she was getting really busy prepping for finals. I asked her if she can do me a favor and do this survey for me for my project, and she said yeah, so I FaceTimed her, and she was at a coffee shop. It was really loud in the coffee shop and had to repeat myself a couple of times, and she asked how long is this going to take cause she has an assignment due. I wasn't annoyed or upset, but she seemed busy, so I said NVM, it's okay, you seem really busy. I said it in a genuine way, and I'm assuming she thought I was annoyed, cause she kept insisting me to tell her. She said, come on, you're literally halfway there, tell me. I just said it's okay, and she said whatever, and we hung up. At that point, I was able to tell she was annoyed, and we didn't text or call that weekend. I ended up calling her Sunday night, and she asked for space. I said yeah, and we didn't text for like a week. I drove back home and told her if she wanted to study together at a coffee shop, and she said yeah. I was really happy to see her, and when I saw her, I could tell the energy just wasn't there, and it felt different. When we both ordered our coffees, I noticed she took me off her wallpaper, and at that point, I just felt so sad and I ended up getting really emotional. I asked her about it, and she didn't make a big deal out of it, and I could feel she was getting distant. I was heartbroken, and we didn't end up studying, but instead talking about us. She expressed to me how she felt depressed, how she doesn't really know herself, how she wanted to set more boundaries, and how she felt bad that she can't be there for me, and how sad that made me feel. I tried my best to understand, and at the same time it felt unexpected how things escalated. We ended up not talking from there until we causally saw each other during finals week at the same coffee shop where we usually study. I asked her when her finals are over, and she said Friday. I asked her if she wanted to hang out after on Saturday, and she said that she would be hanging out with friends, and then I asked on Sunday, and she said that she would probably be hungover, so then I asked on Monday, and she said she would be starting her internship. At that point, I just gave up and was overall confused on what's been happening between us. Our anniversary was coming up as well, so I was unsure on whether I should plan something or not. After we studied, I asked if we can talk about us, and I asked what are we? And she expressed the same things as last time, and how she doesn't know herself and how she wants to be by herself, and that it's unfair for me how I'm putting all this effort when she can't, and she feels bad about it. She then suggested that's why she thinks we should break up, and I just felt really sad. We were talking in my car, and she said that she couldn't do this anymore and went back to her car. I went back to her asking her to rethink and if we can talk about it some other day, but she seemed content with the decision. I asked again if we can talk after finals, and she said yes, but I think she only said yes because she didn't want me to be sad about it and because she felt uncomfortable with the situation and just wanted to leave home. Looking back at things, I definitely regret how clingy and attached I was. The breakup just hit me unexpectedly, and I didn't want to lose her. We spoke after finals, and it was basically the same thing as last time. I expressed to her that I could be better if it's me, and she expressed how she just doesn't feel like she can be in a relationship RN and just wants to focus on herself, find new hobbies, and figure herself out. She told me we can talk about us in a month. A month passed by, and I reached out, and she said we can meet up to talk for a bit, and when I confirmed the time, she said she woke up feeling sick and she couldn't make it anymore, and she asked if we could next week instead, and I said yeah. A week passes by, and I noticed on her story on IG that she was out of town for a weekend festival. By then it was clear to me that she just didn't want to talk. I stopped reaching out and felt like I never got closure, but I just tried accepting that, and unfollowed her on Insta so I can focus on myself. Then my 21st birthday passed by a month later, and a day late she told me happy belated birthday and that she was out of the country, so the days are jumbling together. I didn't respond and just felt sad that she told me a day late. A month after that, the week where school starts again, I reached out to ask if I can pick up my clothes and other things from her house, and she said yeah, and that she wouldn't be at her house, but that she can tell her parents to leave it outside for me. At that point, I just felt even more sad because a little part of me hoped I would have seen her one more time and have gotten closure. I didn't respond to the text because school started and got busy with that. But now, a month later, I've been thinking about her again. I think it's because I'm back at the university where we met and just associate the university with all of our early memories when we were friends. I really miss that, and I miss her again. I've been thinking about reaching out to her, now that it's been months, and just see if we can catch up. I realize I didn't just lose her intimately, but I also lost her as a friend, as someone who I felt really comfortable with, and as someone who meant the world to me. I don't know if I should or shouldn't, and even then I go back and forth on what I should say. Any advice? Note: I have no intentions of bringing up the breakup or trying to work things out and figure out what failed. I just miss having her in my life and her talking to me about anything. Hi there everyone, long-time listener, first-time caller. Throwaway out of caution, blah blah. Apologies if this is jumbled or rambly, I don't have the best memory and I'm trying to piece things together as best as I can. So, in high school I befriended this guy that we will call Joel. We were never best friends or anything, but we had some mutual friends / knew a lot of the same people in our relatively large. Don't forget to support my channel by subscribing, thank you. High school, as well as had some classes together throughout the years. In the later years of high school, we started actually hanging out outside of school, but not super often. Eventually everyone graduated and we all went off to college. I decided on an out-of-state school about a 6-hour drive from my hometown, while most other people that I knew, including Joel, stuck a bit closer to home. I usually go home to visit twice a year, summer and winter break, and during these times I would often try to see the few people I kept in touch with, including him. While away at college, obviously I've been making my own life. Not far into my first year of college, I'm currently in my 6th, I met my current boyfriend and we've lived together for about 4 years, no problems there. Joel is well aware of this, and I assumed that he had always respected that. I had never really gotten any weird vibes from Joel until the last time I saw him in person, which was late December 2019. When we hung out things were mostly normal, but in conversation over Snapchat he just seemed off. Even if I would reply with an admittedly not very interested singular sentence, he would reply with paragraphs that made it clear he was much more interested in the conversation than I was. To sum it up, talking to him felt like writing an essay. I should also mention that I'm autistic, so while this did make me feel uncomfortable, I probably didn't take it as seriously as I should have, because I thought that maybe I was misreading things. Regardless, when I got back home to my college town, I blocked him on Snapchat, and for a while that was the end of it. Fast forward to late May 2022, and I get a text from a number with my hometown area code that I don't recognize, basically saying that they had done a lot of reflection and self-work and wanted to catch up. By this time, I had completely forgotten about the whole Joel thing, so I replied something like, "Hey, this is embarrassing, but who are you?" I got a new phone recently, which was true, so I'm missing some contacts. After this, I put down my phone for a while to do whatever, and when I looked a few hours later, I had a text confirming that this number was Joel. My stomach sank. I didn't really know how to respond at first, because I did not want to talk to him, but also, naively, assumed that he really did just want to catch up. So, I didn't respond. A few hours after he sent the text saying it was him and all that, I see 2 more texts from him. The first one simply said, "I love you," and the second was a link to a playlist titled, My Name, with over 200 songs on it. Many of these songs were ones that are very near and dear to me that I hadn't discovered until after we had stopped talking, confirming that he had been stalking my last.fm, which records everything I listen to on Spotify. I like to see how my music taste changes throughout time, etc. I took some time to think on my reply and run it by a couple of my very close friends, and when I did reply a couple hours later, I said in so many words, "What the fuck? This isn't okay. It's obvious that you've been obsessing over me for who knows how long, despite knowing I'm in a long-term relationship. I blocked you for a reason, and you need to let go of this. Do not talk to me again." Not too long after that he replies, "I'm sorry. I was not well. I won't try to contact you or anything again." I screenshot everything for pertinence and assumed this is the end of it. Stupidly, I did not block his number because I wanted to be aware if he did anything else weird. I didn't hear anything after that. That is, until yesterday. Around 9 p.m. I got a call from a number with my hometown area code that I didn't recognize, so I ignored it because spam and all that. Said number left a voicemail that just said, "Hello, I'm on the corner of X Street and Y Street." I just brushed it off and assumed it was someone actually in my hometown who had a wrong number. An hour later, the number texts me again inviting me to a college sports event happening the next day, i.e. today. I get that sinking feeling. Go back and check my screenshots from May, and yep, it's Joel. And I realize that that means he's currently in my college town 6 hours away from my hometown. Of course, I did not respond to either of these attempts to contact me. At this point, I'm scared shitless. I let my boyfriend and a couple friends in town know, and they're all wonderful people, so I had plans in place if shit hit the fan overnight, which thankfully it did not. I'm not sure if Joel knows my address/area, but he does know what I drive. I wake up today, see no other texts or calls from him and feel relief. Hopefully this means he got the message. I went about my day like normal, staying in my apartment because I live quite close to the sporting event he invited me to, and at about 6 p.m., a few hours ago, he calls me again. I decline it right away, and he leaves another voicemail. I listen to it and he says, "Hi, it's Joel. I left it at something something cemetery. I hope it finds you. Or, well, you find it. Sorry for everything. Forever." What in the hell? I don't know what it is, as I have not contacted him at all since I told him to get bent back in May. At this point, I realize how obviously mentally unwell he is. I couldn't quite understand the name of the cemetery he mentioned, but I looked up ones in the area and none of them sounded like what he said. I still haven't blocked him because I would like some warning if he does more weird shit and maybe figures out where I am. I post this half to vent and half to ask where the hell to go from here. I'm afraid to leave my place, and I'm afraid that he will eventually see my car with our home state plates and figure out where I live. I have no idea if he has a job that he would need to return home for, and if he does, if that would even matter to him at this point. Maybe this was planned, maybe he drove up here on a whim and is sleeping in his car. Who knows? I've been taking screenshots/recordings of everything since May, so I have clear evidence of him saying that he would never contact me again and then subsequently going back on that. Is this serious enough for a restraining order or other legal action? Any other advice on how to proceed? I'm young and have never had to go through anything like this, never thought something like this would happen to me, so I feel so clueless. I have to go to in-person classes next week, and I'm paranoid that he will be looking for me around campus as he knows where I go to school. Thank you for watching. Subscribe to my channel. There are many interesting articles ahead.